Yeah, yeah. Whoa. Ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for mine. I got 9, couldn't wait in line. Game time, game time. Locked in when it's game time. Shoot from deep like a Curry 3. And I go beast like 23. 10 toes down, glued to the concrete. And I do me, keep to myself to find my peace. Been ballin' a little bit, woke up feeling rich. Still remember days I had to grind to get a cent. Still remember days when I spent a penny pinch. Now this bank account is lit and it's up and it's stuck just like Cardi said. Same faces around me and it's hardly friends. Saying how you do it but you hardly did. Fibbing on the ground, yeah you probably is. Ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah I'm ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for mine. I got 9, couldn't wait in line. Game time, game time. Locked in when it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Pull up from the logo like it's Dame time. Same zone, so won't catch me on the same time. Time is money, so I cannot give away time. On the road still, on the go still. Humble, so I keep it on the low.
What's up, everybody? It is your girl, Ticket Deshawn, right here at All Things Ruthless, home of the Ruthless Addicts. Thank you guys so much for tapping in, tuning in, kicking it with your girl for a little bit. This is a monetization-free presentation. Just want to let you guys know that we're just going to listen to a little bit of the book, Alex Cross. This particular book is, let me put it on the screen, you guys. This one, we just want to get familiar with Alex Cross. I've been reading, and listening, to a lot of James Patterson since, oh my goodness, for a very long time. I'll just say that. And now this specific series that's coming out is going to star Aldous Hodge. In the past, Tyler Perry starred as Alex Cross. Then we had Morgan Freeman, who starred as Alex Cross. And now we got a new age Alex Cross that's going to come through. And, I think he's going to do his thing. I honestly think he's going to do his thing. Aldous Hodge is definitely an amazing actor. He's been in so many different projects. Was it Burn Notice? Oh my God, 12. Oh my God, I'm so confused right now. But y'all, really on the real, Aldous Hodge is an amazing actor. Matter of fact, let me pull up some of his credits because I just want to do him justice. He's been a part of, like I said, so many amazing projects. We've seen him as a young man in uh not Medea, y'all. I was about to say Medea, but it was Martin Lawrence, Big Mama's House. He was a young child in Big Mama's House. And now he's a grown man doing his thing. So we've seen him in Black Adam in 2022. It was Leverage, not Burn Notice, you guys. But he was in Leverage, which I actually watched for a long time. City on a Hill, The Invisible Man, Parallel, Brian Banks, Jack Reacher, What Men Want, Marmalade. Oh my God, One Night in Miami. Yes, Aldous Hodge has definitely been doing his thing on the scene for a very long time, and that's just a few of the projects that he has been a part of. With that being said, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead. Let me share my screen, and we're just gonna listen to just a few moments of chapter 1 of Cross. Y'all, this is just a way of getting to know Cross, getting to know Alex Cross. This book right here is from James Patterson, and again, it is entitled along came a spider. So you guys check this out. Comment in the comments whether or not you're going to check out the series on BET, or I'm sorry, y'all, on Prime Video. I'm so used to saying BET Plus. That's so ghetto. But here we go, y'all. Check this out.
Chapter 1. Early on the morning of December 21st, 1992, I was the picture of contentment on the sun porch of our house on 5th Street in Washington, D.C. The small, narrow room was cluttered with mildewing winter coats, work boots, and wounded children's toys. I couldn't have cared less. This was home. I was playing Gershwin on our slightly out-of-tune, formerly grand piano. It was just past 5 a.m. and cold as a meat locker on the porch. I was prepared to sacrifice a little for an American in Paris. The phone jangled in the kitchen. Maybe I'd won the D.C. or Virginia or Maryland lottery and they'd forgotten to call the night before. I play all 3 games of Misfortune regularly. "Nana, can you get that?" I called from the porch. "It's for you. You might as well get it yourself," my testy grandmother called back. "No sense me getting up to." No sense means nonsense in my dictionary. That's not exactly what was said, but it went something like that. It always does. I hobbled into the kitchen, sidestepping more toys on morning stiff legs. I was 38 at the time. As the saying goes, if I'd known I was going to live that long, I would have taken better care of myself. The call turned out to be from my partner in crime, John Sampson. Sampson knew I'd be up. Sampson knows me better than my own kids. "Morning, brown sugar. You up, aren't you?" he said. No other ID was necessary. Sampson and I have been best friends since we were 9 years old and took up shoplifting at Park's Corner Variety Store near the projects. At the time, we had no idea that old Park would have shot us dead over a pilfered pack of Chesterfields. Nana Mama would have done even worse to us if she had known about our crime spree. "If I wasn't up, I am now," I said into the phone receiver. "Tell me something good." "There's been another murder. Looks like our boy again," Sampson said. "They're waiting on us. Half the free world's there already." "It's too early in the morning to see the meat wagon," I muttered. I could feel my stomach rolling. This wasn't the way I wanted the day to start. Shit. Fuck me. Nana Mama looked up from her steaming tea and runny eggs. She shot me one of her sanctimonious lady of the house looks. She was already dressed for school, where she still does volunteer work at 79. Sampson continued to give me gory details about the day's first homicides. "Watch your language, Alex," Nana said. "Please watch your language so long as you're planning to live in this house." "I'll be there in about 10 minutes, I told Sampson. "I own this house," I said to Nana. She groaned as if she were hearing that terrible news for the first time. "There's been another bad murder over in Langley Terrace. It looks like a thrill killer." "I'm afraid that it is," I told her. "That's too bad," Nana Mama said to me. Her soft brown eyes grabbed mine and held. Her white hair looked like one of the doilies she puts on all our living room chairs. That's such a bad part of what the politicians have let become a deplorable city. Sometimes I think we ought to move out of Washington, Alex. "Sometimes I think the same thing," I said. "But we'll probably tough it out." "Yes, black people always do. We persevere. We always suffer in silence." "Not always in silence," I said to her. I had already decided to wear my old Harris tweed jacket. It was a murder day, and that meant I'd be seeing white people. Over the sport coat, I put on my Georgetown warm-up jacket. It goes better with the neighborhood. On the bureau, by the bed, was a picture of Maria Cross. 3 years before, my wife had been murdered in a drive-by shooting. That murder, like the majority of murders in Southeast, had never been solved. I kissed my grandmother on the way out the kitchen door. We've done that since I was 8 years old. We also say goodbye just in case we never see each other again. It's been like that for almost 30 years, ever since Nana Mama first took me in and decided she could make something of me. She made a homicide detective with a doctorate in psychology who works and lives in the ghettos of Washington, D.C. Chapter 2. I am officially a Deputy Chief of Detectives, which in the words of Shakespeare and Mr. Faulkner, is a lot of sound and fury signifying nada. The title should make me the number 6 or 7 person in the Washington Police Department. It doesn't. People wait for my appearance at crime scenes in D.C., though. A trio of D.C. Metro blue and whites were parked helter-skelter in front of 4115 Benning Road. A crime lab van with blackened windows had arrived. So had an EMS ambulance. Mortuary was cheerfully stenciled on the door. There were a couple of fire engines at the murder house. The neighborhood's ambulance chasers, mostly eye-fucking males, were hanging around. Older women with winter coats thrown over their pajamas and nightgowns and pink and blue curlers in their hair were up on their porches shivering in the cold. The row house was dilapidated clapboard, painted a gaudy Caribbean blue. An old Chevette with a broken, taped-up side window looked as if it had been abandoned in the driveway. "Fuck this. Let's go back to bed," Sampson said. "I just remembered what this is going to be like. I hate this job lately." "I love my work, love homicide," I said with a sneer. "You see that? There's the M.E. already in his plastic suit. And there are the crime lab boys. And who's this coming our way now?" A white sergeant in a puffy blue-black parka with a fur collar came waddling up to Sampson and me as we approached the house. Both his hands were jammed in his pockets for warmth. "Sampson? Detective Cross?" The sergeant cracked his lower jaw the way some people do when they're trying to clear their ears in airplanes. He knew exactly who we were. He knew we were SIT. He was busting our chops. "What's up, man?" Sampson doesn't like his chops being busted very much. "Senior Detective Sampson," I answered the sergeant. "I'm Deputy Chief Cross." The sergeant was a jelly roll belly Irish type, probably left over from the Civil War. His face looked like a wedding cake left out in the rain. He didn't seem to be buying my tweed jacket ensemble. "Everybody's freezing their tuchus off," he wheezed. "That's what's up." "You could probably lose a little of them tuchus," Sampson advised him. "Might give Jenny Craig a call." "Fuck you," said the sergeant. It was nice to meet the white Eddie Murphy. "Master of the riposte," Sampson grinned at me. "You hear what he said? Fuck you?" Sampson and I are both physical. We work out at the gym attached to St. Anthony's, St. A's. Together, we weigh about 500 pounds. We can intimidate if we want to. Sometimes it's necessary in our line of work. I'm only 6'3". John is 6'9" and growing. He always wears Wayfarer sunglasses. Sometimes he wears a raggy Kango hat or a yellow bandana. Some people call him John John because he's so big he could be 2 Johns. We walked past the sergeant toward the murder house. Our elite task force team is supposed to be above this kind of confrontation. Sometimes we are. A couple of uniforms had already been inside the house. A nervous neighbor had called the precinct around 4:30. She thought she'd spotted a prowler. The woman had been up with the night jitters. It comes with the neighborhood. The 2 uniformed patrolmen found 3 bodies inside. When they called it in, they were instructed to wait for the Special Investigator Team, SIT. It's made up of 8 black officers supposedly slated for better things in the department. The outside door to the kitchen was ajar. I pushed it all the way open. The doors of every house have a unique sound when they open and close. This one whined like an old man. It was pitch black in the house, eerie. The wind was sucked through the open door, and I could hear something rattling inside. "We didn't turn on the lights, sir," one of the uniforms said from behind me. "You're Dr. Cross, right?" I nodded. "Was the kitchen door open when you came?" I turned to the patrolman. He was white, baby-faced, growing a little mustache to compensate for it. He was probably 23 or 24, frightened that morning. I couldn't blame him. No sign of forced entry. It was unlocked, sir." The patrolman was very nervous. "It's a real bad mess in there, sir. It's a family." One of the patrolmen switched on a powerful milled aluminum flashlight, and we all peered inside the kitchen. There was a cheap Formica breakfast table with matching lime green vinyl chairs. A black Bart Simpson clock was on one wall. It was the kind you see in the front windows of all the people's drugstores. The smells of Lysol and burnt grease melded into something strange to the nose, though not entirely unpleasant. There were a lot worse smells in homicide cases. Sampson and I hesitated, taking it all in the way the murderer might have just a few hours earlier. "He was right here," I said. "He came in through the kitchen. He was here, where we're standing." "Don't talk like that, Alex," Sampson said. "Sound like Gene Dixon. Creep me out." No matter how many times you do this kind of thing, it never gets easier. You don't want to have to go inside. You don't want to see any more horrible nightmares in your lifetime. "They're upstairs," the cop with the mustache said. He filled us in on who the victims were. A family named Sanders, 2 women, and a small boy. His partner, a short, well-built black man, hadn't said a word yet. His name was Butchie Dykes. He was a sensitive young cop I'd seen around the station. The 4 of us entered the death house together. We each took a deep breath. Sampson patted my shoulder. He knew that child homicide had me shook. The 3 bodies were upstairs in the front bedroom, just off the top of the stairs. There was the mother, Jean Pooh Sanders, 32. Even in death, her face was haunting. She had big brown eyes, high cheekbones, full lips that had already turned purplish. Her mouth was stretched open in a scream. Pooh's daughter, Suzette Sanders, 14 years on this earth. She was just a young girl, but had been prettier than her mother. She wore a mauve ribbon in her braided hair and a tiny nose earring to prove that she was older than her years. Suzette was gagged with blue, dark pantyhose. A baby son, Mustapha Sanders, 3 years old, was lying face up. His little cheeks seemed stained with tears. He was wearing a pajama bag, like my own kids wear. Just as Nana Mama had said, it was a bad part of what somebody had let become a bad city in this big, bad country of ours. The mother and the daughter were bound to an imitation brass bedpost. Satin underwear, black and red mesh stockings, and flowery bedsheets had been used to tie them up. I took out the pocket recorder I carry and began to put down my first observations. Homicide cases H234914 through 916. A mother, teenage daughter, little boy. The women have been slashed with something extremely sharp. A straight razor, possibly. Their breasts have been cut off. The breasts are nowhere to be found. The pubic hair of the women has been shaved. There are multiple stab wounds, what the pathologists call patterns of rage. There's a great deal of blood, fecal matter. I believe the 2 women, both the mother and the daughter, were prostitutes. I've seen them around. My voice was a low drone. I wondered if I'd be able to understand all the words later. The little boy's body seemed to have been casually tossed aside. Mustapha Sanders has on hand-me-down pajamas that are covered with Care Bears. He is a tiny, incidental pile in the room. I couldn't help grieving as I looked down at the little boy, his sad, lifeless eyes staring up at me. Everything was very noisy inside my head. My heart ached. Poor little Mustapha, whoever you were. "I don't believe he wanted to kill the boy," I said to Sampson. "He or she." "Or it," Sampson shook his head. "I vote for it. It's a thing, Alex. The same thing that did Condon Terrace earlier this week." Chapter 3. Since she had been 3 or 4 years old, Maggie Rose Dunn was always watched by people. At 9, she was used to special attention, to strangers gawking at her as if she was Maggie Scissorhands or Girl Frankenstein. That morning she was being watched, but she didn't know it. This one time, Maggie Rose would have cared. This one time, it mattered very much. Maggie Rose was at Washington Day School in Georgetown, where she was trying to blend in with the other 130 students. At that moment, they were all singing enthusiastically at assembly. Blending in wasn't easy for Maggie Rose, even though she desperately wanted to. She was the 9-year-old daughter of Catherine Rose, after all. Maggie couldn't walk past a mall video store without seeing a picture of her mother. Her mother's movies seemed to be on the tube about every other night. Her mom got nominated for Oscars more often than most actresses got mentioned in People magazine. Because of all that stuff, Maggie Rose tried to disappear into the woodwork a lot. That morning, she had on a beat-up Fido Dido sweatshirt with strategic holes front and rear. She'd picked out grungy, wrinkled Guess jeans. She wore old pink Reebok sneakers, her trusty Dusties, and Fido socklets picked out from the bottom of her closet. She purposely hadn't washed her long blonde hair before school. Her mom's eyes had bugged when she'd spotted the getup. She said, "Quadruple yuck," but she let Maggie go to school like that anyway. Her mom was cool. She really understood the tough deal Maggie had to live with. The kids in the crowded assembly 1st through 6th grade classes were singing Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. Before she played the folk rock song on the auditorium's gleaming black Steinway, Miss Kaminsky had tried to explain the message of it for everybody. This moving song by a young black woman from Massachusetts is about being dirt poor in the richest country of the world. It's about being black in the 1990s. The petite, rail-thin music and visual arts teacher was always so intense. She felt it was a good teacher's duty not only to inform, but to persuade, to mold the important young minds at the prestigious day school. The kids liked Miss Kaminsky, so they tried to imagine the plight of the poor and disadvantaged. Since the tuition at Washington Day was $12,000, it took some imagination on their part. "You got a fast car," they sang with Miss Kay on her piano. "And I got a plan to get us out of here." As Maggie sang Fast Car, she really tried to imagine what it would be like to be poor like that. She'd seen enough poor people sleeping in the cold on Washington streets. If she concentrated, she could visualize terrible scenes around Georgetown and DuPont Circle, especially the men with dirty rags who washed her windshield at every stoplight. Her mother always gave them $1, sometimes more. Some of the beggars recognized her mom and went ape-man crazy. They smiled like their day had been made, and Catherine Rose always had something nice to say to them. "You got a fast car," Maggie Rose sang out. She felt like letting her voice really get up there. "But is it fast enough so we can fly away? We gotta make a decision. We leave tonight or live and die this way." The song finished to loud applause and cheers from all the kids at assembly. Miss Kaminsky took a queer little bow at her piano. "Heavy duty," Michael Goldberg muttered. Michael was standing right next to Maggie. He was her best friend in Washington, where she'd moved less than a year ago, coming from LA with her parents. Michael was being ironic, of course, as always. That was his East Coast way of dealing with people who weren't as smart as he was, which meant just about everybody in the free world. Michael Goldberg was a genuine brainiac. Maggie knew. He was a reader of everything and anything, a gonzo collector, a doer, always funny if he liked you. He'd been a blue baby, though, and he still wasn't big or very strong. That had gotten him the nickname Shrimpy, which kind of brought Michael down off his brainiac pedestal. Maggie and Michael rode to school together most mornings. That morning, they'd come in a real Secret Service town car. Michael's father was a Secretary of the Treasury, as in the Secretary of the Treasury. Nobody was really just normal at Washington Day. Everybody was trying to blend in one way or another. As the students filed out of the morning assembly, each of them was asked who was picking them up after school. Security was tremendously important at Washington Day. "Mr. Devine," Maggie started to tell the teacher monitor posted at the door from the auditorium. His name was Mr. Gessier, and he taught languages, which included French, Russian, and Chinese at the school. He was nicknamed Le Prick. And Jolly Charlie Chakley, Michael Goldberg finished for her. Secret Service Detail 19, Lincoln Town Car, license number SC59, North Exit Pelham Hall. They were assigned to moi because the Colombian cartel has made death threats against my father. Au revoir, mon professeur. It was noted in the school log for December 21st. Mr. Goldberg and M.R. Dunn, Secret Service pickup, North Exit, Pelham, at 3. Come on, Dweebo Dido. Michael Goldberg poked Maggie Rose sharply in her ribcage. I got a fast car, and I got a plan to get us out of here. No wonder she liked him, Maggie thought. Who else would call her a dweebo? Who else but Shrimpy Goldberg? As they walked out of the assembly hall, the two friends were being watched. Neither of them noticed anything wrong, anything out of the ordinary. They weren't supposed to. That was the whole idea. It was the master plan. Chapter 4. At 9 o'clock that morning, Miss Vivian Kim decided to recreate Watergate in her Washington Day School classroom. She would never forget it. Vivian Kim was smart, pretty, and a stimulating American history teacher. Her class was one of the students' favorites. Twice a week, Miss Kim acted out a history skit. Sometimes she let the children prepare one. They got to be really good at it, and she could honestly say her class was never boring. On this particular morning, Vivian Kim had chosen Watergate. In her third grade class were Maggie Rose Dunn and Michael Goldberg. The classroom was being watched. Vivian Kim alternately played General Haig, H.R. Haldeman, Henry Kissinger, G. Gordon Liddy, President Nixon, John and Martha Mitchell, and John and Maureen Dean. She was a good mimic and did an excellent job on Liddy, Nixon, General Haig, and especially the Mitchells and Mo Dean. During his annual State of the Union message, President Nixon spoke to the entire nation on television, Miss Kim told the children. Many people feel that he lied to us. When a high government official lies, he commits a horrible crime. We've put our trust in that person based on his solemn word, his integrity. Sssss. Boo! A couple of kids in class participated in the lesson. Within reason, Vivian Kim encouraged this kind of involvement. Boo is absolutely right, she said. His too. Anyway, at this moment in our history, Mr. Nixon stood before the nation, before people like you and me. Vivian Kim arranged herself as if she were at a speaking podium. She began to do her version of Richard Nixon for the class. Miss Kim made her face dark and gloomy. She shook her head from side to side. I want you to know that I have no intention whatever of ever walking away from the job that the American people elected me to do for the people of the United States. Vivian Kim paused on the actual words from Nixon's infamous speech. It was like a held note in a bad but powerful opera. The classroom of 24 children was silent. For the moment, she had completely won their attention. It was a teacher's nirvana, however short-lived. Nice, Vivian Kim thought to herself. There was a brittle tap, tap, tap on the glass pane of the classroom door. The magical mood was broken. Boo! Hiss! Vivian Kim muttered. Yes? Who's there? Hello? Who is it? She called. The glass and polished mahogany doors slowly opened. One of the kids hummed from the score of Nightmare on Elm Street. Mr. Sanji, hesitantly, almost shyly, stepped inside. Nearly every child's face in the classroom brightened instantly. Anybody home? Mr. Sanji piped in a thin, squeaky voice. The children erupted with laughter. Oh, look, everybody's home, he said. Gary Sanji taught mathematics and also computer science, which was even more popular than Vivian Kim's class. He was balding, with a droopy mustache and English schoolboy glasses. He didn't look like a matinee idol, but he was one at the school. In addition to being an inspired teacher, Mr. Sanji was the grand master of Nintendo video games. His popularity and the fact that he was a computer wizard had earned him the nickname Mr. Chips. Mr. Sanji greeted a couple of students by name as he quickly made his way to Miss Kim's desk. The two teachers then spoke privately at the front desk. Miss Kim had her back to the class. She was nodding a lot, not saying much. She seemed tiny standing next to Mr. Sanji, who was over 6 feet tall. Finally, Miss Kim turned to the children. Maggie Rose and Michael Goldberg, could the two of you please come up front? Bring your things if you would. Maggie Rose and Michael exchanged puzzled glances. What was this all about? They gathered their belongings and then headed to the front to find out. The other kids had begun whispering, even talking out loud in the classroom. Okay, put a lock on it. This isn't recess, Miss Kim quieted them. This is still class. Please have some respect for the rules we've all agreed to live by here. When they got to the front of the classroom, Mr. Sanji crouched down to talk privately to Maggie and Michael. Shrimpy Goldberg was at least 4 inches shorter than Maggie Rose. There's a little problem, but it's nothing to worry about. Mr. Sanji was calm and very gentle with the children. Everything is basically fine. There's just a little glitch, that's all. Everything is okay, though. I don't think so, Michael Goldberg said, shaking his head. What's this little so-called glitch all about? Maggie Rose didn't say anything yet. She was feeling afraid for some reason. Something had happened. Something was definitely wrong. She could feel it in the pit of her stomach. Her mom always told her she had too active an imagination, so she tried to look cool, act cool, be cool. We just received a phone call from the Secret Service, said Miss Kim. They've gotten a threat. It concerns both you and Maggie. It's probably a crank call, but we're going to hustle you both home as a precaution, just a safety precaution. You guys know the drill. I'm sure you'll both be back before lunch, Mr. Sanji added in support, though he didn't sound too convincing. What kind of threat? Maggie Rose asked Mr. Sanji. Against Michael's father, or does it have to do with my mom? Mr. Sanji patted Maggie's arm. Time and again, the teachers at the private school were amazed at how grown up most of these kids were. Oh, the usual kind we get now and then. Big talk, no action. Just some jerk looking for attention, I'm sure. Some creep. Mr. Sanji made an exaggerated face. He showed just the right amount of concern, but he made the kids feel secure. Then why do we have to go all the way home to Potomac, for crying out loud? Michael Goldberg grimaced and gesticulated like a miniature courtroom lawyer. In many ways, he was a cartoon version of his famous father, the secretary. Just to be on the safe side, okay? Enough, I said. I'm not going to have this debate with you, Michael. Are we ready to travel? Mr. Sanji was nice, but firm. Not really, Michael continued to frown and shake his head. No way, Jose Canseco. Seriously, Mr. Sanji, this isn't fair. It isn't right. Why can't the Secret Service come here and stay till school's over? That's not the way they want to do it, Mr. Sanji said. I don't make up the rules. I guess we're ready, said Maggie. Come on, Michael, stop arguing. This is a done deal. It's a done deal, Miss Kim offered a helpful smile. I'll send over your homework assignments. Both Maggie Rose and Michael started to laugh. Thank you, Miss Kim, they said in unison. Leave it to Miss Kim to have a good joke to fit the situation. The halls outside the classroom were nearly empty and very quiet. A porter, a black man named Emmett Everett, was the only person who saw the trio as they left the school building. Leaning on his broom, Mr. Everett watched Mr. Sanji and the two children walk the length of the long hallway. He was the last person to see them all together. Once outside, they hurried across the school's cobblestone parking lot, which was framed by elegant birch trees and shrubbery. Michael's shoes made clicking noises against the stones. Dork shoes. Maggie Rose leaned into him and made a joke. Look like dork shoes, act like dork shoes, sound like dork shoes. Michael had no argument. What could he say? His mother and father still bought his clothes at freaking Brooks Brothers. What am I supposed to be wearing? Miss Gloria Vanderbilt? Pink sneakers? He offered lamely. Sure, pink sneakers, Maggie beamed, or lime green air-outs, but not shoes for a funeral, shrimpster. Mr. Sanji led the children to a late model blue van parked under elm and oak trees that went the length of the administration building and school gym. Non-synchronous bouncing basketballs echoed from inside the gym. "The two of you can jump right in back here, upsy-daisy." "There we go," he said. The teacher helped boost them up and into the back of the van. His eyeglasses kept slipping down his nose. Finally, he just took them off. "You're driving us home?" Michael asked. "I know it's no Mercedes stretch, but it'll have to do, Sir Michael. I'm just following the instructions we got on the phone." I spoke to a Mr. Chakely. "Jolly Charlie," Michael used his nickname for the Secret Service agent. Mr. Sanji climbed inside the blue van himself. He pulled the sliding door shut with a bang. "Just be a sec. Make a little room for you guys here." He rummaged through cardboard boxes stacked toward the front of the van. The van was a mess. It was the antithesis of the orderly, almost compartmentalized math teacher style in school. "Sit anywhere, kids," he kept talking while he looked for something. When he turned again, Gary Sanji was wearing a scary, rubbery-looking black mask. He held some kind of metal implement in front of his chest. He looked like a miniature fire extinguisher, only it was more sci-fi than that. "Mr. Sanji?" Maggie Rose asked, her voice rising in pitch. "Mr. Sanji!" She threw her hands in front of her face. "You're frightening us! Stop kidding around!" Sanji was pointing the small metal nozzle right at Maggie Rose and Michael. He took a fast step toward them. He planted both of his rubber-soled black brogans firmly. "What's that thing?" Michael said, not even sure why he said it. "Hey, I give up. Take a whiff, boy genius, you tell me." Sanji hit them with a blast of chloroform spray. He kept his finger on the trigger for a full 10 seconds. Both children were covered with mist as they collapsed into the back seat of the van. "Out, out, bright lights," Mr. Sanji said in the quietest, gentlest voice. "Now no one will ever know." This was the beauty of it. No one would ever know the truth. Sanji climbed into the front and fired up the blue van. As he drove from the parking area, he sang "Magic Bus" by The Who. He was in an awfully good mood today. He was planning to be America's first serial kidnapper, among other things. Chapter 5. I got an emergency call at the Sanders house at about 11:15. I didn't want to talk to anybody with more emergencies. I had just spent 10 minutes with the news folks. At the time of the Project murders, some of the newsies were my buddies. I was a press pet. I'd even...
Listen, I definitely wanted to come in here and throw this up there. Thank you so much, DeMarcus Vine. I absolutely appreciate this. You are amazing, and thank you for the 6K subscribers. Your girl been working. Even though y'all don't see me often, I have absolutely been working. So thank you for acknowledging that. And I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for tapping in, tuning in. Listen, you guys, I could play this all night long, but as you can see, this initial book, Cross Alex Cross, Along Came a Spider, is about 10 hours long. But I just wanted to share with you guys, the little introduction as to who Alex Cross is. As we can see, there's going to be the Nana Mama character, who's also in the books, of course. She's going to be a part of the series, which is going to premiere on Prime Video. Again, November 14th, we'll get the first episode, maybe, of Cross. Now, I don't know if they're going to give us all 8 episodes at one time, or maybe they'll give us one episode weekly. However, no matter how that is done, I will definitely come in weekly and give you guys a recap of Cross. I'm so looking forward to this because, just as I stated earlier before we got started, I have been watching or reading Cross since I have to say, and I'll probably tell my age, but maybe 19 or 20. So that's like over 30 years I've been listening to Cross. Or not just listening, but actually reading the Cross books. So I'm super excited that they've decided to remake this whole series. Absolutely excited. And are you guys familiar with Cross? Who was your favorite Cross? Who was your favorite Alex Cross? Tyler Perry portrayed Alex Cross, Morgan Freeman portrayed Alex Cross, and now we got Aldous Hodge. For me, I would say Morgan Freeman, I guess because I'm in that era. Now, I am a Tyler Perry fan, don't get me wrong, but I just think, and he did well with the character, but I just think there was just something about Morgan Freeman that just couldn't be duplicated. I don't know if it's the level of acting, the skill level, or whatever the case may be, but I do think that Aldous Hodge is gonna definitely come in and he's gonna wreck some stuff. And I'm here for it. And DeMarcus asked, am I ready for All the Queen's Men on November 28th, 2024? Of course. Absolutely. For those that are familiar with myself as well as EJ the TV Junkie, we're definitely going to come back with Virtual Club Eden. So make sure you guys are locked in November 28th. Somewhere after that, I think she and I agreed that we would go live on a Sunday. Now, keep in mind, Thanksgiving is November 28th, right? And they're going to give us All the Queen's Men. And I believe they're going to give us 2 episodes when it returns. Either way, I'll be watching. That's all I can say. Either way, I will be watching. And we're definitely going to give you guys that recap. We're definitely going to give you that Virtual Club Eden experience. Madam got some stuff going on, and y'all stay locked in because tomorrow they only gave us literally like a 15-second trailer. What's that about? Can we get like 45 more seconds? Can we get at least a minute worth of trailer for All the Queen's Men? But either way, yeah, Morgan Freeman was my favorite as well. But yeah, either way, I'm going to give you guys a recap just like I did for Zatima. I'll give you guys a breakdown of the trailer that we have seen so far. And this is what I'll do for All the Queen's Men. So sometime tomorrow, because I also have my Wicked City live recap that I'm going to do. Trying to get y'all over to the dark side. Come get wicked with me, as they say. But definitely we will be doing that recap tomorrow, and then I'll also give you guys a breakdown of the All the Queen's Men trailer as well. I'll probably do it with Wicked City, and then play it by ear like that. But that's about it, y'all. That's about it. Like I said, I could play this book forever and ever, but as you guys can see, it's approximately 10 hours long. I don't even think I got 10 hours on my StreamYard. I don't know, but yeah, Damson Idris would have been amazing to play the Cross role. But I think, and not disputing that, I feel that Damson, he did his thing in Snowfall. That was his thing. I think this is the role made for Aldous Hodge, though. I think this is the role. We've seen him in so many supporting roles. We've seen him in a few star roles. I think this is literally going to be made for Aldous Hodge. But we'll see. I support Damson Idris again. I just think I'll say this. I think that Aldous has a little more age on Damson, and I think this character needs to be at least 40, 30-ish, 40-ish years old, so that they can bring in the whole father situation as well as the whole the wife being unalive. I think the age, I think this is the age, the maturity of Aldous or this cross character is why they actually selected him. But I mean, I'm here for it. Are you checking out Eat Slay Love with Nivea, Eva Marcel, Tammy Rivera, and London on Peacock? Listen, I have a Tea Talk playlist that I'm going to send over to my young lady by the name of TK. She does all my reality talk. We just started a new playlist right now that consists of baddies, but I'm gonna see if she's going to be available to do Eat Slay Love. It sounds interesting. I mean, I'm here for anything Eva Marcel anyway. So I'm here for it. But I'm gonna reach out to my young girl because that's what the young lady that does my tea talks. I'm gonna my reality talk, but I'm gonna check her out to see if she is available to add that to the playlist. My cup is full. My cup is full and I'm trying to push this stuff out, but that's a great suggestion. And if she's not available, I may do it just because you asked, Marcus. I may do it just because you asked. But again, y'all, thank y'all so much. Thank you all so much for tapping in, tuning in. I see you guys have been coming in and out, in and out. Thank you to those of you that added some commentary. For those of you that came through just to watch, I absolutely appreciate that as well. If you're new to the channel, finding your girl for the first time, and you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. Then tap that notification bell so that you can receive reminders of new Ruthless content. Again, Along Came a Spider is coming up November 14th. We will be giving you weekly recaps that will consist of myself, as well as VKJ TV, and I believe Monique 69 Waves is going to join us on the panel for the weekly recaps of Cross. Then of course I'm still doing my Wicked City. I'm gonna do Wicked City till I die. I love that show, so make sure you guys check out that playlist as well. I'm also going to go back and do tomorrow as well. I'm doing just a little bit on Beauty in the Black. I know the YouTube world has been saturated with Beauty in the Black, but I want to talk a little bit about Kimmy. So y'all come through sometime tomorrow, and I'm going to discuss Kimmy from Beauty in Black, how she became a part of the whole craziness from the Beauty in Black, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the Beauty in Black business. Let's see. I would love your opinion on Pop the Balloon Challenge or Find Love. Listen, those challenges, those Pop the Balloon situations, I'm here for it, but I'm just like, how dare some of these people come in and be so judgmental? But then at the end of the day, it's like you like what you like, but see, you can't always judge a book by its cover, because just because somebody comes in low key, low dress, not extra flashy with extra jewelry and all of that stuff, that doesn't make them some sort of a scrub or bum or whatever people kind of describe them as. I think that, like I said, that's like judging a book by its cover. And I guess that's the main reasoning behind them doing the Pop the Balloon Challenge, just to, see if, you like the person at first sight, so to speak, without really knowing a whole lot. But I think I may do something on that as well. Again, a lot of that reality stuff, I have to give it to my by the way, y'all make sure y'all support the Baddies playlist or the Tea Time playlist, where we have the Baddies right now. We got we're gonna be continually uploading. That is, by the way, my daughter, who is in college. She's a college student, and she, the more y'all watch those videos, the more coins I can kind of give to her, because girl she's trying to get through her last few semesters of college, and that's our way of, kind of supporting her with that. So, but I'm gonna give her more work. So since you mentioned that as well, I'll check that out as well. I may do 1 or 2 commentaries on the balloon challenge. I got to find one that really stood out more to me. Then I'll probably do something like that. You're influencing me over here, DeMarcus. Like, you're an influencer. You can visit me, kind of talk about things that I wouldn't regularly talk about. So, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Anyway, you guys, thank you all so much for tapping in, tuning in, kicking it with your girl, Tika Deshawn, right here at All Things Ruthless. You guys have an absolute, without a doubt, unequivocal, amazing night. And as always, you got to stay ruthless, y'all. Stay ruthless. And out of here.